What's up, guys? Welcome to Gwhisky. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around at the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below, and with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the new Glenmorangie 18. This one's called the Infinita. Should be interesting. Stick around. Okay, so the Glenmorangie rundown continues. This had to be put on hold for a little while because I did get sick and I kind of lost my sense of smell and taste. Now that they're kind of sort of back, we can keep this going. Today, of course, we're talking about the 18, and unlike the other ones I've done so far in this series, I'm not going to be like guessing or going off of memory when comparing it to the old one. I actually have the old one here. And I'm expecting these two to be different because so far most of what I've tried in the new line has been different from the older stuff. Recently, the 10-year-old became a 12-year-old. I haven't tried the 12-year-old, but it'll definitely be different. The 12-year-old La Santa I recently reviewed, and I actually preferred the new one to the old one. There's also the Nectar Dog, which was recently turned into a 16-year-old called the Nectar. That was really good. The only one that I'm not sure about was the 14-year-old Quinta Reuben. That might have undergone some changes, but they were hard to detect if there were any. The point is, the brand is evolving, and unlike most other brands out there, they're not actually going downhill as time goes on, which is strange. That is not how you're supposed to whiskey. I mean, it is a weird move, but I like it. Nobody tell them they're doing it wrong. So what do we need to know about the new 18? The age you can guess. They don't actually give us any cask information about this bottle on the website, and that's interesting because all the other bottles on the site will at least give us a very basic cask rundown. No such luck for this one. That said, it's gonna be bourbon and sherry. I don't know if any other casks were thrown in the mix. I guess it's possible, but I kind of doubt it. 100% there's bourbon and there's sherry in here. According to Whiskey Base, it's Oloroso sherry. And that's fine. I don't need or even want any cask acrobatics with an older whiskey. Bourbon and sherry, keep it simple. That's perfect. Now, the 18 for me has always been really solid stuff. It doesn't get a lot of love. It doesn't get a lot of chatter online, but I've always enjoyed it. It might just be because it's a big corporate brand. The specs aren't there. I don't know the reasons, but it's not a hit among enthusiasts. I'm a fan. That's right, I said it. I like a whiskey that not a lot of people talk about. I'm an edgy boy like that. I go against the grain. Absolute wild card. But no, I always have liked this one, and I do typically like Glenmorangie. It's not a very popular brand with enthusiasts because it doesn't necessarily cater to enthusiasts, but it's a widely available, generally affordable brand. I do like their house style, and they're not as pretentious as a lot of other brands out there. So just on that basis alone, I'm good with them. But the big question of the day is, am I going to be good with the new version of the 18-year-old? Especially, as I've said, I'm a big fan of the old version. So is it going to be as good? Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? That's all the potential options. So let's find out. Let's jump into our review. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. So this one comes in at 43%. It is probably chill filtered and it is probably colored. Such is life. In terms of presentation, I do prefer the older look to the newer look. That's been true of pretty much all of the recent Glenmorangies that I've reviewed. That's true here. I do find the older one to be classier, more handsome, a little bit more elegant. The new one, I wouldn't say it's ugly, but it's just, for me, it is a bit of a downgrade. The old one, I'll give a solid 5 out of 5. The new one, we'll give it 4. This says nothing about color or chill filtration. It does not give us any tasting notes, or at least not on the bottle. It does not mention casks, so it's pretty devoid of information. I will say this, I do think this bottle is better looking than the other new bottles in the line, but they're not setting the bar that high. On the nose, this is bright, fresh, and very fruity. We get plenty of peaches, we get apricots, we get oranges, tangerines, candied red apples, there's honey, there's cream in here like heavy cream, vanilla ice cream. It's got a very rich but also very gentle sherried touch here with some really nice hints of cinnamon, oak, and brown sugar. This is a really nice nose, definitely a fruit bomb. On the palate and finish, this is quite textured and full for the ABV. I get more spices than what was suggested by the nose with stuff like pink pepper and cinnamon. This is again very fruity with lots of peaches. I get fresh peaches, I get canned peaches, I get canned fruit salad, I get sweet pineapple. There's more apples, oranges, apricots, honey, and florals. Medium finish. Okay, so if you're wondering why I didn't do tasting notes for both of these bottles, I just didn't want to drag the video out for too long. But don't worry, we are going to address the differences, and there are differences. The good news is that I like the new one every bit as much as I like the old one. They are different, but they're not totally different. You can see the connections between the two. They definitely share the same DNA and a lot of the same flavors, but the new one did branch off somewhat. But I will say this, I think there's a lot of people who, if they did the side-by-side that I just did, would end up preferring the older version of the 18-year-old. And that's because that version does give us more depth, it gives us more richness, and it's got a little bit more weight to it. And of course that sounds like a good thing, and it is a good thing, but it's a compromise because the newer 18 is crisper, cleaner, and brighter. In the new one, the individual flavors, elements, and nuances are more clearly defined. Meanwhile, with the old one, it's more richly sherried. It's more heavily sherried, and that's what gives it its weight. And I think that's what gives it slightly broader appeal as compared to the new one, because I think a lot of people will gravitate towards that weight and that depth. But personally, I like both. I think these are both excellent whiskeys. They both have their own merits, but if I think to myself, all right, I'm stuck on a deserted island, I can only bring one of these bottles, might be the new one. I just really like that clarity. It makes the whiskey seem more complex, more layered, and I do usually gravitate towards lighter, brighter whiskeys anyway. But I do think in terms of quality, these are on the same level, and it's basically a preference thing, but more than preference, it's a mood thing. Keep in mind, I'm choosing the lighter, brighter, fresher version in August in the middle of summer. If you ask me again in December or January, I might pick the older one because it does have more of that warm blanket kind of vibe. So based on that description, you guys will have to decide for yourselves which one you want to go for. I don't know about your market. Here in this market, you can easily find both the old and the new version. That won't last long. If you do prefer the older version, it might be a good time to stock up. Not might be, it is. So again, both excellent whiskeys. It's always fun when a brand doesn't go downhill. Again, I guess Glenmorangie didn't get the memo. This is different. Some will think it's, gone down. Others will think maybe the new version is better. That's going to depend on you. For me, I would just say it's more of a sidestep. So don't sleep on this one, guys. It is really good. I don't think it gets enough love. This is a mature, sophisticated, gentle, subtle, nuanced, complex, and classy and adjective-y 18-year-old. In terms of cask influence, this is right where I want it to be. It is sherry, but it's gently sherried. It is not dominating the profile, it is complementing the profile. It adds a lot of richness, a lot of subtlety. This is a great bottle if you're into fruit bombs, if you like those sort of like peachy notes. Really good. And listen, I know some of you will be put off by the specs, put off by the ABV in this one. I don't mind. And I know there's a lot of people out there who just don't really get along with the Glenmorangie house style. I do. And those are definitely factors you're going to want to consider, because if you're the type of person that wants everything to be like craft and punchy and intense, I definitely wouldn't recommend this for you. But for me, I think this is one of the great, modern, available, affordable 18-year-old whiskeys. Hot take. In terms of score, I'm going to give this an 89, and that goes for both of them. I think this is a standout among 18-year-old whiskeys. I think this is a standout in its price category. It is a genuinely wonderful whiskey. Now, before we jump into value, I do want to say a quick thank you to all my channel members, all my patrons. Guys, thank you so much for all the support. And if you want to help out, if you want to help keep the channel financially sustainable and independent, there are a number of ways that you can help. I have both Patreon and PayPal linked down below. Anything and everything helps, guys. And again, huge thank you to those of you who are already supporting the channel. Now let's see about value. So excellent value on this bottle. As many of you guys know, my market is particularly cheap. And there's almost no point in me telling you what I pay, just because it will be less than what most of you guys have to pay in your markets, but I'll rub it in anyway. So this cost me about just under 100 US. But I've checked the online retailers, the international retailers. Typically it sells for roughly 130 US, which obviously is much higher. It's not ideal for me. For you, honestly, it's not bad for what you're getting. And that price range does seem to be the baseline for most 18-year-olds these days. So this is not going to cost you more than the vast majority of other 18-year-olds on the market. And I think it's better than a good chunk of them. So yeah, it's recommended. All right, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, I want to hear from you. So have you tried the new Glenmorangie 18 called the Infinita? Have you tried the old one? What do you think of the old one? What do you think of Glenmorangie 18 in general? Are you a fan? Do you feel it's underloved like I do? God, I've got so many questions. You can put those all down below in the comments. And finally, you can also let me know what you want to see me review down the line, and I will keep that in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.